it's because it's my goddamn show this week. I'm running this place. I figured we'd have a lovely open segment where anybody can discuss whatever they want to discuss. Because, I'm a nice guy. So I'm going first. I've been watching a show on another YouTube channel called Start. I'm assuming you guys are familiar with Start.
Mm-hmm.
IGN, they do Up at Noon, which is hilarious, and Mixed Reviews, which is very informative. And they've also been running a show this week in the past few weeks called Geek Love. It's a show, 10 minutes, 15 minutes each episode. Thoroughly insane. I'd go watch it, but there's a few issues I have to bring up with it that sort of relate to the wilder world of games. It's about some fat guy, because he's a nerd, who goes to New York Comic Con and runs something called sci-fi speed dating, where essentially he gets a group of 30 cosplayed girls and 30 cosplayed blokes, push them together. They have 30 2-minute dates, and then together, they all get a perfect match, and everyone goes happy home together, all lovely and nice, full of nerdy things, and everyone's happy. But the problem I have with this is, why does geek culture need to be a thing? Why do we have to call ourselves gamers? We're just people who like to play video games. If I go to a movie, am I a movier? If I listen to music on my iPod, am I a musicer? I don't understand why we have to feel separate. Oh man, we're geeks. I love Doctor Who and Lord of the Rings, therefore I'm different and better from all of you. I just don't get it. Anybody else? Does it not bother anybody else? Or are you proud to call yourself a gamer or a geek or a nerd? Or does this sort of categorize ourselves even more, and the fact that some people want this to be accepted, does that sort of tarnish that? Anybody?
Well, the problem is gaming by its nature is isolationist, and everyone else, for the most part, still doesn't understand what it's about. If you're a film goer, everyone knows what going to the cinema is like, and everyone does it. But if you're a gamer, even if you play with friends or play online, you're pretty much in your house, in the dark, playing, and everyone else has been told to fuck off, basically, haven't they? So,
well, I do the same thing when I watch films. I sit at home in a room. I have a Netflix subscription, which is probably the worst thing I could have ever signed up for, because I would just sit there and I will watch Lost, all 6 series, on a loop, on my own, over and over again, eating greasy, terrible foods. But, that's the same thing as if I was playing a game. So,
geek culture seems to be this idea that was invented by commercialism in order to try and get people in, because let's face it, geek culture's never been bigger than it is right now. I mean, the Avengers, you look at the top 3 movies worldwide selling all time, it's Avatar, the Avengers, and The Dark Knight, and that all comes back to the fact that people realized all of a sudden that, hey, even there are guys like us who sit in dark rooms and play video games or watch Lost and eat greasy food by ourselves. But even on top of that, there are millions, if not billions, of people out there who do those things and want to be considered part of the it culture. It's just an it thing that's happening right now. And they just came out with this TV show on an American channel called King of the Nerds or King of the Geeks or something like that.
I've heard about this. Apparently it's awful.
Yeah, well, I mean, and one of my friends was talking to me about it, and he's like, "Oh, it looks really cool. They're cosplaying," and I was like, "Oh, really?" And they're like, "Yeah, they got to invent a story when they cosplay." And I was like, "Well, that doesn't cosplaying's actually people dressing up as characters they're fans of. It's not really what cosplaying is, and it's all because they just want to make it appeal to you. They want to make it mainstream geek culture, and that's why I don't like geek culture, is because it's the mainstream version of something that is actually, there's multiple extremes too."
I think. Going on that, well, everyone plays games now. There is not a person I know who doesn't sit and play Farmville or Candy Crush or Angry Birds on their iPhone. So the separator...
The introduction of these casual games is what's kind of brought about the whole geek culture to everyone that normally wouldn't do it.
It's not the fact that, mainstream culture is encroaching on our territory. It's the fact that the people engrossed in this culture sort of tried to reject the idea. You know, we have to be separate. We have to be we're gamers, man. We stick together, man. You know, we have Mountain Dew, and we. Do you know what I mean? It's
yeah.
It's not the other side of the coin. It's not, you know, the E network going, oh man, look at this person on YouTube being all nerdy. Oh, let's laugh at him and everyone go watch him. It's the other side of the coin of people who are nerds, self-proclaimed nerds, going, oh, everyone else can go away because we're nerds, man. We have our own conventions, man. Yeah, we're cool.
I think it comes from both sides. I mean, you get the commercialism of it, and then you also get the people who are like, you know, no, to be a gamer, you have to put in 40 hours into some obscure JRPG and then have all 4 character, you know, sitting on top of your bookshelf, or you need to get the severed torso special edition thing for Dead Island.
So I've completed Ninu Nana 5 times already.
Exactly.
Gamer, yeah.
And so. Whereas, like, you know, I look at myself, you know, I would be what would be considered culturally a geek. You know, I like Star Wars and Indiana Jones, but at the same time, like, I'm having people over to watch the Super Bowl, you know, today. Like, you know, I'm going out to drink on a Saturday night. Like, you know, I do all these other things, and, you know, I don't like being qualified as, like, you know, when someone says, what does Josh like? You know, I like lots of things, and, you know, games, Indiana Jones, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings is part of that. And so that's why I don't like to be considered part of geek culture. I think that
if I'm exactly the same, you know, it's always a stigma of, you know, nerds can't meet women, which is where this Geek Love show comes from. If I'm going out to a bar and someone goes, oh, what do you do for a living? What is your career? What are you trying to do? I go, I'm a writer. And they say, what do you write about? Oh, I write about video games. And they go, oh, all right. You played Angry Birds? And I'm like, yeah, I have played Angry Birds. I have 3 sitting on my shelf behind me. Seriously, no, the ladies love the Angry Birds. Seriously, they can't get enough. They go, it's amazing. Instant A.
I myself doing that in the pub sometimes. It's like, oh, what do you do for a job? Oh, I'm a kind of freelance writer. Oh, what do you write about? Computer games.
Yeah. If you want to avoid that, just go, I'm an entertainment writer, because there is still a stigma with that. You know, I mean, there is still a stigma.
One of them actually said, you know, I was kind of midway through my pint. She says, oh, you're not like one of these sadders who sits in the dark and like plays computer games all the time. And I was like,
not all the time.
Not all the time.
But you know, it's fine. You know, it does like if I was to fill in a form and it was like, you know, name, age, blah 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 blah, and it was like, what are your interests? What are your hobbies? I wouldn't put I'm a gamer.
Yeah.
Because it sounds, let's be honest, it sounds stupid. I'd be like, oh, I play games, I watch films,
It sounds a bit elitist.
Yeah.
Like those people who like prestige 50 odd times in Call of Duty then call you a scrub for not playing it.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, and that's what really, really sort of grinds my gears about the whole thing. So I'm a nerd, I'm better than these other nerds that aren't really nerds because they've watched Star Wars once.
It's the alpha nerds.
Yeah, it is alpha nerds. It's really, really, really stupid thing, and it really, really, really annoys me. When people go, oh, man, we're better because we're gamers. Yeah, cool, man. Oh, it's mostly the internet. It's all the people out there on the internet going and commenting and annoying people and saying, oh, man, you're a noob because you don't pwn your mother or something. And screw you, internet.
Listening, you know who you are. You know who you are.
You know who you are. Legions of people on 4chan and Reddit and in the comments of all the things I write telling me I'm wrong. I don't like you. I'm better than you. It's not the other way around. Speaking of from this, you know, Russ, I hear you want me to talk about video games on TV.
Well, yeah, basically, what it is in Britain anyway, gaming has never been that big on TV, and I sort of wanted to discuss why. I mean, I'm a child of the 80s and the 90s, and there's been a few entries into gaming on TV. There's 4 shows that I really remember, which we can go over, but there seems to be a bit of a conflict of, like, the BBC, which is Britain's public broadcaster, doesn't really want to show video games very often, and it's mainly been the private channels like ITV and Channel 4 that have ventured into it, but even then it's been a bit of a failure and they've all gone quiet. And I don't know, is there a future for gaming on TV, or are we just going to be watching clips on YouTube?
I mean, like, Josh, what do you get in the States on like normal TV for like, video game related?
We used to have G4, which was a gaming network. I was telling Matt and Russ earlier that like when G4 was actually at its prime, it was like 12 hours of programming, which was Ninja Warrior, and then they'd probably have like about 2 hours that was actual gaming news. As X-Play, and I was trying to think of the other one.
Attack of the Show.
Attack of the Show, exactly.
Yeah.
And they were cool, but they, I just feel like the audience for that is so niche that they just couldn't get a hold of enough people. And then recently they've been bought out by, I want to say, like Esquire magazine or something like that, and now they're going to rededicate themselves to making adult male programming, whatever the hell that means. So
that's fake tits and beer, isn't it?
It's the classy version of Spike, if you guys know what Spike TV is.
Yeah.
Spike TV is amazing. I mean, 1,000 Ways to Die and Deadliest Warrior are two of the greatest things ever committed to a visual medium. Anyway, video games on TV, I think, personally, there is no place for it. There's two reasons, really. One, YouTube is a thing. This is now on YouTube. We are giving you gaming news and opinion and reviews on demand to a place that everyone can access. We have zero budget, and hopefully we are giving you like good stuff. There's tons and tons and tons of channels that you can subscribe to on YouTube that give you amazing content for nothing. And it's all done with a couple of ads. They get loads of money. They can keep making more awesome stuff, and everyone's happy. And then the flip side is YouTube is watched by only people who want to watch that content, whereas TV channels have to try and cater for every single possible person. And especially with all the things about video games and violence in the media these days, with the whole gun control issue and is Mortal Kombat raping your children, is something that I think a lot of channels don't want to deal with at all.
I do feel like two of the biggest quote-unquote auditions for network TV gaming are happening right now. One, to a lesser degree, is Giant Bomb, where almost everything Giant Bomb does is video content. And then I think that on the flip side of that, you have the Start YouTube channel, which I feel is almost like IGN being like, hey, someone want to pick us up and do TV with us? Because all that stuff is very TV-centric. You have a Daily Show spin-off, which is Up at Noon with Greg Miller. There's the Game Store show, which is kind of like The Office, sitcom-y about gamers. They're doing TV shows, a Castlevania TV show, and stuff like that, which I feel is really the most interesting thing I've seen, which is like, this would be a gaming channel if it was on TV.
The thing is, though, like I said, those things are only available to the select group of people. I still think the audience is too niche. I mean, terrible shows like EastEnders are watched by like tens of millions of people over here, and you can only imagine if something like Up at Noon was on say ITV or BBC for 20 minutes on a Monday night, it would get watched by 10 people.
Yeah.
Probably.
Well, and the difference is that, like you were saying, those have decent views for YouTube because people can go out and seek them whenever they want to. But, if you put it on at like a 7 o'clock, 7 o'clock area at some point, you're not going to be able to get the same amount of viewership.
I mean, media is generally going on demand online. I mean, BBC iPlayer, HBO Go, Channel 4 OD, all these things, everything's going online. That is where it's going now. Smart TVs is all going to be streaming online, and YouTube is the right place to be if you want to create content for a niche audience. Which as much as we hate to say, gaming is like traditional gaming. Not that I'm a gamer, is niche, and that's the problem. But like I say, it's also the violence thing. People don't want to. People would get complaint after complaint after complaint if they started showing clips of The Walking Dead or like The Walking Dead game or Mortal Kombat or Black Ops on TV. People would not like it, because it's not just the 18 to 24-year-old male who watches TV. Even if you put it on Post Watershed, it's still a problem.
Well, I was saying to Josh and Rush before we started that there is this show on TV just now, but it's one on these niche channels that have things like fly fishing and how to build your shed. And it's called Owned, and it's on at like obscure times, like 11 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the morning for like half an hour. And it kind of saddens me because I still remember the days, like Russ said, of like Games Master and that sort of thing.
Oh, Games
They're
Master
kind of
is just amazing. Yeah, yeah. There was one thing that I have seen recently, which is Charlie Brooker's Games Wipe.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Mate, everything Charlie Brooker does is fantastic.
I mean, we've got up here, I don't know if you got it down in England or in the States, we've got Video Guiding, which is Robert Florence and his pal basically going through these games and just ripping the absolute mick out of them. And it's primarily a Scottish thing, it was hilarious.
Now, we haven't got that, but, you know, that proves the point of it's only available on Scottish TV, and I'm assuming it's on quite late at night.
Yeah,
So
it's 11 o'clock, half 11.
It's a very niche thing, and I don't think currently there's a space. You know, if there was an Angry Birds TV show, it would probably be a cartoon over a serious discussion into whether Angry Birds and iPhone gaming is the future of our entertainment medium. It just doesn't. I don't think it just works like that.
Yeah.
Actually, the best TV content, and then we can wrap this up and move on, is I don't know if you guys have seen Conan O'Brien do Clueless Gamer Review. You should really check it out online. Conan O'Brien's a talk show host, comedian over here in the States, and he plays Skyrim, Resident Evil 6, Hitman, and he has never played video games in his life, and he has someone there to help him play the game. But it's hilarious. It's really
good.
funny.
Yeah. I think that's where it's going on mainstream TV. It's like portions, you know, they can pick out something that's funny and put a portion of that in a variety show. And that's it. You might one day, God forbid, ITV will put on some sort of Angry Birds knockoff. We have to fling a Z-list celebrity into a castle or something like that. But, you know, I don't think that'll ever happen.
As long as they don't wheel out Patrick Moore's poor corpse to 10-year-olds going, Game Master, what's the cheat codes for this character on Tekken 2? Fuck off!
Seriously, look up Games Master on YouTube. It's so amazing. And so 90s, but so creepy at the same time. This giant old man head telling the children what to do. Ain't right. It ain't right. It ain't right at all.